Hello family and friends, I'm Susan and welcome to my home. Hey everybody, Easter's on its way and it's time to be thinking about what items you're going to cook for your menu that day. One of my most requested items is my peach cobbler. It is simple and not too many ingredients. As long as you know the tips and tricks to make it perfect, it's a great option. So let's ponytail up and let's get to cooking. Okay, and for this recipe you will need 1/4 pound of butter or 1 stick of butter. You will need 1 cup sugar and 1 cup flour, 2/3 cup milk, 2 cans of peaches, some cinnamon sugar, and some apple pie spice. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And I like to go ahead and heat up my peaches. I don't like them to be completely as toothsome as they are out of the can. I like to heat them up so they're a little bit softer. And I don't have to heat them up long, just heat them up enough to make them a little bit softer. So I put those in the pot and turn it on. And then those will heat up. Now this is where I do add a little bit of the cinnamon sugar. I do add a sprinkle of the cinnamon sugar, probably about a teaspoon, and then I do add a little bit of the apple pie spice because peaches really go good with apple pie spice, not just apples. It's just the good fruit thing, I think. So I just put a dab of apple pie spice, maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon, not much. And then just let it there to simmer. And let me stir this up real quick. And then once that starts to simmer, I will turn it completely off and let it cool back down a little bit. I just need it to heat up to soften the peaches up. I mean, we're talking simmer for just 2 to 3 minutes. It's not going to take long. Those peaches are already pretty soft, but I just like them a little bit softer than they are. And while we're waiting for the peaches to soften up, I'm going to go ahead and put in the rest of the ingredients. It's 1 cup of flour, one cup of sugar, and 2/3 cup of milk. Now what you want to do is whisk this together and it will make a batter, kind of like a pancake batter, but not, well, almost as thick, but it will make a batter. And you can sift the flour if you want to get all the lumps out, but I never do. It seems to turn out amazing even though you don't sift it. So now that is what I'm talking about. That kind of wonderfulness is what I'm talking about. Now I like to put just a dab of cinnamon sugar in the top, and not much, just a dab, because you don't want too much. It will overpower the cobbler if you put too much in the bread. I've found that out over the years. Now the next thing we need to do is go ahead and put the butter in your baking dish so we can put it in the oven and let it be melting. That is one of the main things. This cobbler is so buttery that you want to make sure that you get that butter in there, get it nice and melted, and then we will layer the other items on top of it. The peaches are just starting to bubble, so I want to turn them off. That way they don't overcook. And I'm also going to be taking them off the heat because I don't want them to be too hot when I put them into the cobbler. Don't want it to start baking the breading before we actually get everything in there. So they're right here sitting and waiting. We're looking like 247 right now. So it's going to be a few more minutes. And whenever it hits about 300, I'm going to put the butter in the oven in the glass dish that it's going to bake in. That way it'll melt the butter. Okay, we're at a little over 300. I'm going to go ahead and put the peach cobbler in. All right, here it goes. Not the peach cobbler, but the butter. Butter's going to go in there for just a few minutes until it finishes heating up to 350. And then we will take it out and then start getting everything layered up. I did forget to tell you that this flour is self-rising flour. It will not do the same with all-purpose. And also a little trick with your milk. If you happen to buy your milk and it's very close to the expiration date, you can always put a pinch of salt in the milk. It won't change the flavor, but it will deter the expiration or deter it from going bad for about a week longer. So it's really good if you don't go through much milk. We always seem to go through a lot of milk, so that's never a problem here. Okay, the oven's at 350. Let's remove the cobbler dish with the melted butter in it. You don't want to let the butter go brown. You just want to get it melted up enough to where it is in the dish and melted. And now is to the next part. Okay, I've put it on the counter so you can see it a little better. What we're going to do is we are going to pour the breading mixture on top of the butter, and we're going to try our best not to disturb the butter. And then the peach part will go on top of the breading. And what will happen is when this bakes, the breading will bake up through the peaches. So let me go ahead and just pour this in. Yeah, this is not going to be no diet thing, that's for sure. Look at all that butter floating in there. Makes it so good. Let me go ahead and scrape all of this out of the bowl, because I don't like to waste anything. Try to keep everything as clean as I can too in the process. All right. Now, the next thing you'll do is get a slotted spoon, because we are going to dip out the peaches and try not to disturb the juice that's in there. And you want to gently lay them on top of the base. You don't want to stir, you don't want to aggravate the breading to where it displaces it or it goes over top of the peaches any more than it has to. Because we want the peaches to be on top, we want it to cook through the peach layer. See how I'm just doing this? I'm just layering it on gently. Now this recipe did come from my husband's mother, Hazel. I did tweak it a little bit with the spices, but that's the only part that's changed. And he loves this because it reminds him of his mama, who's no longer here. So, but we are just layering those on. Try to get every little area that might have an opening that didn't get a peach. Try to layer it in that opening. There. Now, what you have left is just good old peach juice. And I'm glad this pot has a little spout to it, because now all you do is pour the peach juice on top of the cobbler and peaches. And try not to disturb anything. You see how slowly I'm going at it, because you don't want anything to come out of its place, because this is what makes it so good. Now we are ready to put this in the oven. Okay, now we're going to put this very carefully in the oven to let it cook. And I put it on the middle rack in the middle of the oven. And we are going to cook this at 350 for 30 to 35 minutes. What we'll do at 30 minutes, I'll go in and just check, because every oven is different, and I have a newer oven and haven't used it a whole lot. but I like to make sure that it's brown on top and it's solid. And I'll show you how to do that whenever it's been 30 minutes. So set your timer. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. Let's take a look at the cobbler. All right. It's looking really good. Now what you need to do is check, and you see it's not quite brown enough yet because it's about 5 minutes too early. And whenever you shake it, it still jiggles just a little bit, which is not too bad. But it definitely needs to get some more browning. And I know that my oven does not brown consistently on both sides. So now we've got it back in the oven for about 5 more minutes. And then we will check on it then. And see if it's done enough. All right, it's been an extra 5 minutes. It is doing better. It's getting there. It's getting some brown around the cobbler. But now the trick is put it back in the oven. Turn the oven off. Let it set in there in the hot air in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes, and it will completely brown the top of it up without overcooking the cobbler, and it will still be so juicy and wonderful. So kitchen timer again. 10 minutes and start. Okay, it's been 10 minutes of resting for the cobbler in the nice warm oven. Can you see how nice and golden that cobbler is? It looks really good. I mean, really good. Okay, see how bubbly that is. And see how nice and golden the top of this is. It just setting in there in the oven, letting it warm up the top and heat the top. And it's not shaking. That means that it is completely done. It's nice and brown, and it's hot, but it's ready to eat here in a few minutes. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'm going to try and do a video about every week, or even maybe 2 a week, depending on the video itself. But please try this recipe. It is amazing. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I plan on doing more cooking, cleaning, organization, and shopping videos in the future. Until next time, have a great week.